Jeremiah chapter 29 this week. Okay. And of course, this is kind of attached to kind of the history of Jeremiah, God telling Jeremiah to preach against the false prophets. It's a kind of a history of the struggle with the false prophets, and at home. So what we have here in Jeremiah chapter 29 is a letter Jeremiah wrote, okay? And we don't know the exact date. My Bible says with the date always in my Bible it's always followed by a question mark, 599 BC. Okay, so but it's a letter of advice. Okay. Now these are the words of the letter that Jeremiah the prophet sent from Jerusalem unto the residue of the elders which were carried away captives. Okay? So this letter is to elders and the prophets, whoever were carried away captive to Babylon. Okay, they are now slaves in Babylon. They did have a town up north of Babylon, where I think most of the Jewish folks got to live or went to. But so this is the residue. These are the ones that survived, if you will. Okay, there were very few that survived. There was like 2/3 of the nation were literally killed during all of this stuff. Okay, and so this would be 1/3. Everybody else, they were either scattered, or they were taken captive, or in some cases, very few cases, really poor farmers probably got to stick around. Nobody messed with them because they were really poor farmers. If you're going to go, take somebody captive, you're not going to go after the really poor farmers. You're going to go after the rich guys, the elites, yeah, or in the case of Daniel and his captives, around Daniel, pretty and smart, handsome, smart, good looking, and smart, okay? And but so these elders, and to the priests, and to the prophets, and to all the people whom Nebuchadnezzar had carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon. Okay? Now, remember, in the last chapter, Jeremiah, or previous chapters, Jeremiah has said, okay, don't make a big fight about it. Don't rebel. Just cool it and take the captivity. They're going to 70 years of it. Take the captivity in stride, okay, and we'll find out here. But just take it in stride, and don't rebel. If you rebel, okay, you're not going to win. Okay? All those nations that were mentioned in the last chapter, they all lost. Okay? Those nations don't exist anymore. Remember the kings in chapter 27, kings of Edom, king of Moab, king of Ammonites, king of Tyrus, king of Zidon. Okay, all those nations that were surrounding, if you will, Israel, they were going to be assimilated. To use that's a Star Trek, right? Yeah, assimilated into the Babylonian Empire if they survived. Okay, so we don't hear anything about the nation of Edom these days at all. We know about Babylon, of course, and eventually all of those same nations ended up in the Roman Empire. And all of those nations kind of ended up under control of Greece. And you name it, any conquering empire that wanted to move in there, all those nations kind of ended up that way. So all those nations. And after that, this is kind of get a little bit of an idea about your timeline there. After that, Jeconiah the king and the queen and the eunuchs, the princes of Judah and Jerusalem, the king's household. That's where we get the eunuchs. They were the servants, okay? And of course the queen mother of Jeconiah, they survived, and the carpenters and smiths, okay, were departed from Jerusalem. Okay, remember, Nebuchadnezzar had big building plans. He built some fantastic stuff, the Hanging Gardens, and he did this over the 70-year captivity, and all these Jewish captives, they got to help build all of this stuff. The city of Babylon at the time was magnificent, and the archaeologists are still digging stuff up and trying to figure out where stuff was. Okay? And who's it's back there in Iraq tried to rebuild. Yeah, all these, forget their names. Yeah, Saddam. Yeah. We can remember Nebuchadnezzar. Okay. We can remember his name. We can remember Jeconiah and the names of the kings. Okay, but some of these other guys like Saddam Hussein, okay, who cares? They tried to he tried to rebuild his empire, the Babylonian Empire, and he even started building a modern replica of the famous gate to Babylon. And where is he now? His empire lasted what? Maybe 10, 15, 20 years, something like that? Who knows? Can't remember. Don't care anymore. But the carpenters and the smiths, the craftsmen, okay? He wanted the skilled craftsmen. Anybody like these skilled craftsmen, remember, way back when Solomon built the temple, okay, he had skilled craftsmen. They knew what they were doing when they were building the temple, because God had specific instructions about building the temple. And so all those guys. But so after all these people have been taken, now verse 3 tells us who the guys are that are going to carry copies of this letter, okay, that Jeremiah is writing. Actually, the actual letter doesn't really start till verse 4, but so these are the guys that are taking to everybody. That they're going to be taking it to where the Jewish settlers are now at the time, where Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar has put them. Okay, so they're taken by the hand of Elisha, the son of Shaphan, and Gemar. Yeah, we've got all these nice names that you can try and say 3 times fast. Okay, Gemariah, the son of Hilkiah, whom Zedekiah king of Judah sent unto Babylon, to Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, saying, okay, so these are the guys that are taking the message. Thus saith the Lord God of hosts. That's how, if you want to know what God says, look in the Bible, and you know exactly, because thus saith the Lord God of hosts, the God of Israel, unto all that are carried away captives, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon. Okay? It's all part of God's plan. God did this. Okay? God does things. Okay? What? God works in mysterious ways. Okay? We don't know all of the details of my favorite subject, these days, global warming, climate control, climate change. What we're hearing from the, politics here, what we're hearing from the politicians is all a bunch of hooey. Okay? Because God is in control of the weather. He has, we don't know. He has something, planned for this next week, where it's going to be over 100 degrees out there all this next week, and all of the stuff that's going, in the southeast. Hurricane Beryl. The Weather Channel has been working on this one hurricane, tropical storm Beryl, Beryl, for the last 2 weeks, or seems like the last month. That's all we hear is about him. That's this hurricane. But God's in control of that hurricane. Okay? He, if you will, he is steering it. Okay? Think about that. God is steering the hurricane. God is steering the weather that we're going to have here, the hot weather we're going to have this week. After last week, let's see, about a week ago, there was one morning when I had to wear my jacket when I went to the gym because it was cold and windy. But anyway, so now here are God's instructions to the people that are captive. Okay? Now, Daniel made it big, right? Because he obeyed God. Okay? That's just one example. Daniel did well for himself and for the nation of Israel, okay? Because he obeyed God. Esther did well for herself, everybody complains, nobody's, nobody gives the girls any credit, right? Just think of what Esther did for the nation because she obeyed God, right? Yeah. Think about that. Okay. So here's the advice. Hey, build some houses. Build ye houses and dwell in them. Simple. Find a plot of land, build some houses, plant your gardens, okay, and eat the fruit of them. Yeah. If you folks think that Nebuchadnezzar is going to feed his slaves properly, you better have another think coming. Okay? You're going to have to survive yourselves, even though you are slaves. Okay? And I'm sure that the slaves did get a little, maybe if you will, I'll talk about coins, maybe a penny for working, on Nebuchadnezzar's hanging gardens there. But, he's telling them, normal citizens, plant some gardens, eat the fruit of them, okay? Take ye wives. Hey, get married. Now, but remember, the last chapter, I think, Bible trivia a couple of weeks ago, the last chapter of Ezra was denouncing the wives and husbands who took, the husbands who took, Babylonian wives, or the wives who got married to Babylonian or, Chaldean. So take ye wives. Hey, get married. Hey, beget sons and daughters. That's exactly what they did when they were captive in Egypt for 400 years. But they were captive in Egypt for 400 years, remember? Okay? They moved there willingly to start with, but then they became slaves, and they lived. They had their own section of Egypt, Goshen, and they did a lot of begetting, right? They grew so much that the Pharaoh at the time was starting to get, oh, these guys, they're getting too big. We better do something about them. There's too many of them. Okay? Remember, Moses took roughly a couple of million people out of Egypt. Okay? So hey, good advice here. Beget sons and daughters. Take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there, okay? And not diminished. Okay? Go along with God's plan, and you will increase. There's always a remnant, okay, of Jewish people. Even today, there's always a remnant. Even after, Hitler back there, there's always a remnant. And what happened after him? They got back their land. They got Israel back. And now everybody else is trying to get them out again. And they're not going to win. God has plans. Okay? Be not diminished, and seek the peace of the city, whither I have caused you to be carried away captives. Don't rebel. Don't be troublemakers. Don't be a troublemaker like me. Be nice. Be friendly. Don't be like this one program I watch on TV, Neighborhood Wars. Don't be like those neighbors on that program, Neighborhood Wars. If you have to watch that. Neighbors fighting. And he's saying, don't fight with your neighbors, the Babylonians. Get along with them. Bear sons, get married, plant a garden, plant your own food, keep yourselves healthy with food. And I've caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto the Lord for it. Oh, you mean if we want good stuff to happen, we might have to be praying about stuff? Gee whiz. You think? For in the peace thereof shall ye have peace. If you are peacefully obeying God, you will have peace. And you will survive, and your family will survive, even though it's 70 years, and eventually you're going to come home.